Hello. Thank you, Allie. Yeah, as you saw, we had a large cat's ass on the way. How goes it? It goes. One of these days you're going to answer swimmingly or something like that. I don't know. Allie already got down. She'll probably be back in a little while, though. She always has multiple visitations, doesn't she? There we go. I have an idea. I rested her head in her hair. That way, if anything the head's touching, it's going to be covered anyway. Can't knock the light down any lower. Let me try. Maybe that'll stop blowing the screen out at least. Yeah, she'll be as big as the Baroness when she's finished. But still a hair under third scale because she's actually supposed to be quite tall. Can you hear me okay? Mike's not too far away. Or do I need to get closer? Before I forget, let me turn on my fan. I'm back. Yeah, a majority of what she's wearing is going to be black and red. So we're going to do the flesh tones first. Probably use masking putty on that where I need to. Then we'll throw down the red. Get that all kinds of faded and shaded. And then we'll throw down the gloss black. Working off camera again. This flesh tone looks a lot paler on camera than it is. It's probably going to need a second coat in some spots. Well, it's definitely going to, but... Hey, Swagman, how you doing? And you see, those aren't her only big cannons. Oh yeah, the exhaust fan's working a lot better now. Exhaust fan being a box fan with a pleated filter taped to the intake side. Works great though. Seeing as how I'm not going to be off again till Sunday, I'm going to try and do my best to have at least a stream today, and maybe a stream Saturday, possibly more in between. Not Friday, though. Oh, hey, Alex is here. And Olikar. How you doing? But I want to attempt to get in and stream on possibly tomorrow, possibly Saturday. Because my next day off's not going to be until Monday. Gonna be doing 6 days straight. So, physical energy allowing. As long as I have it when I get off work, I'll try and do some. It'll be about this time. Be generally shorter unless things really kick off. Maximum no more than 2 hours, I want to say. I know what I'm getting those fish eyes from, the stinking super glue accelerator. So brush those out. Yep. We're getting paint back up into the brush, which means we have a blockage at the needle. But we are go on Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. Kick, I met the minimum requirements to allow subs over there as well. So if you'd rather support on Kick than Twitch, it's understandable. On Kick, the streamer gets a higher return from your support. There we go. Much better. Okay. Yeah. This is not how you hold real women. Hey, Greedy Twins, welcome in. It's just because it's dry as hell here. I don't know why I'm trying to be so thorough on a lot of this, because I'm going to have to go through and do the shadows and then do highlights again anyway. But it's just how I am. So, Alex, you're gonna hate me. Remember how you bought your M113 and all those parts as well? Tongday has released a radio-controlled M113. And one of the variants is the Australian version, which is essentially an M113 with a CVRT Scorpion turret on it. Forgot to get the inside of her fingers. I don't know the price for it yet, but I've been trying to not buy any RC tanks recently. Mainly because I just want to start saving more money again. But this is definitely one I have been waiting for a very long time, so I am most likely going to do it. But seeing that they've made the turret for a scimitar, or a scorpion, however you want to look at it, do you think Tongde could be working on a CVRT series in the future? They already have one asset to do it. I think it might. Tongde's actually been pretty good at that. It hasn't fully come out yet. There's been pictures of the 3 completed versions. One is the Australian version, and 2 are US versions. Basically, one's like the ACAV version in Vietnam with the turret and the shielded machine guns on the side by the back hatch. And the other version is the naked version, where it's just got the 50 cal on top without the shields. Yep, Tongde. I know they will come with an option for metal tracks, but it won't be the rubber pad style. It'll be the original style. It won't be the new style that you're wanting. But there is a metal road wheel version that will be coming, and it should have rubber tracks on it. Or not rubber tracks, rubber pads on the road wheels. You know what I mean. They're all coming in a base desert sand, but at the same time, it can be painted. But in my off time, I did fix up my oddball Sherman from Kelly's Heroes. I got that working. Welcome, Jeff. So we got that working, and I've got... Do I want to use that one? Yeah, we'll go with that one for the shadows. I've got a good start on the turret storage bins on my M109. What cat did I just see walk by? Anyway. They're relatively new on the market, but they're making a lot of vehicles that nobody else has. They've come out with the... They did a Centurion Mark... Not a Centurion. No. Yeah, it was the Centurion. They did a Centurion Mark V. And a Churchill. The M109, M60 variants. Bradley. that's going to warm this up just right. And that's a much better look. Still kind of playing around with the Vallejo skin tone set my wife got me for Christmas. Just learning how they kind of all work together. Yeah, now they don't, the M113s don't have any kind of interior, but they might be more easily available than the Andes kit. Oh yeah, either the aftermarket or decent scratch building, really. I'd like to get 2 of them eventually. One to do as an Israeli variant, to go with the M109 and the Merkava and the M60 that I've got. Come on, chair, move. And then another one to do up in the NATO 3 color, but as it was used in Desert Storm. There's a few that they didn't get time to repaint. Or even something more current, like post-2003 time frame as well, they were used. And again, they didn't have time to repaint them. They just kind of took them off the boat and put them in the desert. Let me see what I can do about that. It still feels too bright on the skin. Oh, I'd love to do a fitter. That's actually the Israeli version I want to do. Just because there's so much crap strapped to the outside of that. All I'd really need is the crane. I could basically scratch build everything else. And you're up late. Please tell me you're on vacation or something at least, or a holiday over there or something. There you go, okay. But as I was saying right when you came in, because I'm working 6 days straight this week, if I am able, I'm going to force myself to do some more later streams like this. Because my next day off isn't going to be till Monday. Which means I'm working 6 days straight, which means my usual stream time is going to be thrown off. And I'd like... Bye, Greedy Twins. I'd like to make this a more regular thing if I can. Until such time as I'm able to work it into a regular schedule where I'm not so badly affected by my physical ability. And then after next Monday, my next day off won't be till Friday. So I based this with Vallejo basic skin tone, which feels a bit bright, but then I went back over with sunny skin tone for the shadows. I might take a little bit of cork brown and do some of the more deep areas, and then go back with the basic tone again, and maybe a slightly lighter one. Head back off the hair. And when she's done, she'll actually be larger than Eve, about the size of the Baroness. This is the sunny tone. Come on, there we go. Nose itches. But I hope everybody's having a good week so far. It is hump day. So for most of you, there's 2 days left. Not me. If I feel this good tomorrow, there's probably going to be a stream tomorrow. It might even be longer, because I don't work till much later in the day on Friday. So I don't have to balance as much stuff during the day. I forgot to see how long this mix is. Oh, we're just barely halfway through it. Cool. This one's actually hitting right for me today. Okay, cork brown. Yeah, the hair is going to be probably a stream of its own, because that's a lot of hair. And if anyone's watching on the YouTube side, welcome. Don't be strangers. We don't bite. That might be a bit stark. We'll be able to knock that down though when we go back with the initial color from above. Can we get a ban on James Pros 224? If not, I can go do it. Ban, 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 ban. Come on. Trying to get through this quick. One, it's the part that should take the least time. But two, it's also the one that has the most tip dry because you're spraying so fine a line. I didn't do the back at all with the other color. We'll get to it. I might have to come back anyway. And if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. Don't be afraid to say hey. If you got any questions about what I'm doing, feel free to say hey. Ask away. kind of overdid it down there, so we'll have to bring that back in with the basic tone. But you're also seeing it at angles that you're not supposed to see it at. So if you see it upright and the light just blows it completely out, and if you're into 3D printing and you want to print this figure on your own, the files are available on CG Trader by EAS Monster. And I was debating actually getting rid of this print and doing a different one because another file creator has done one that's a bit more game accurate. But I figured I'd already spent the time and the resin. May as well finish it. Now we go back to the original base color. Okay, thin it out a little bit. It's not Model Air, unfortunately, even though it's got a black cap on it. That used to be the way you could tell your Model Air colors from just your straight model colors, is the Model Airs almost always had a black cap back in the day. Now they've changed it again. That aside for a moment. Okay, that feels a bit more natural now. Especially once the red hair is over it. What you got there? We are loading the page. Hi, Allie. Ooh, 123 euros. Good lord. I don't even have the M113 yet. Okay, we have been invaded by the alley monster. I really need to continue painting, girl. Can we have another stream interruption in, say, about 30 minutes? Can we do that? Hmm? No? You're just being a little monster today, you know that? You've been up on my desk so many times. Can we get down? Huh? Are we gonna get down or no? Do I have to get you down? Do I have to get you down? You can't be up here while I'm painting. I don't want to spray paint on you. Yeah. You got eye boogies. Yeah. Alright. Let's get the Steuben Tiger down. Oh! Come on, girl. Down you go. Of course, because of the cat, now I've got needle dry. There we go. Well, put it this way. If y'all want to see me do the fitter once I get my RC M113, surprise me with that set and we'll do it. That or I can just scratch build it myself, because, you know, I've done more. What's funny is for those who have the RC WPL Oshkosh trucks and even the MAN trucks, that's the same high-ab crane that's in those. I need to see how much of her back's going to be covered by the hair. One minute. How much did they change the grills between the A6 and the A7? That feels a lot better to the eye. Playing around with the translucence of the flesh tone to knock down the harshness of the shadows I put on, but still let them bleed through a little bit and inform the character's shape. Okay. Forgot to do the other fingers. These have to be glued on after the anti-tank rifle's in place. So I'll paint what I can, but I'll probably have to wind up finishing them off by hand once everything's assembled. Oh, are you talking the internal reinforcement that's inside them? That even Hanglong and Tamiya were able to get? Yeah, TACOM's one of those companies that I'm on the fence about a lot of times. Like, when they get something right, they get it really right. But when they screw the pooch, they really screw the pooch. Like the Weasels. Great models, they go together well, but when you're building it, you're sitting there going, you know, they could have done just a little bit more. There's nothing wrong with them, but there's still something that doesn't sit perfectly right. Well, judging from the eyebrows on this character, the carpet does not match the drapes. Doesn't matter anyway, it's an android. Oh, the sun's coming through the window. That's why you're on the couch now. Sunbathing. Okay, I'm guessing I got disconnected from Twitch. But I'm back now. If I were to get an A7, and I'm really not going to, but if I were, I'd get the Tamiya one anyway. Or the Tongde one. Frankie, you okay? You're down here staring at the doorway. What's going on? Hi. I am going to lower the camera back down, and we're going to try working on her eyes. Because I need to liquid mask the... or not liquid mask, masking putty. I have to use this gunk on those areas, and I want to let it dry for a little bit. We're definitely looking at a sandy gold yellow. Okay. I need... light ghost gray. White. Yellow, we're going to use very, very little yellow though. We're going to have to dip into the Tamiya for the sandy stone color. Dark yellow. And we want some umber, burnt umber. Where'd you go? I know I have it. Is that it? There it is. And maybe some Schwarzbraun. Hey Aries, if you're paying attention, you're going to see how I at least start doing my eyes. Get some of my finer brushes. Good brushes that come to a fine point are where you want to start. I'm just licking them to make sure that they'll actually taper properly when they're wet with paint. And if you're doing a specific character, find the most high-res image of that character that you can, and zoom in. It'll help you see the color separation that the studio uses in order to get that kind of weird, alive look. Now this character is interesting in that she's got some cat eyes. And basically what I do is I just zoom in and I try and mimic what's there. Here, let me show you. So I've got this zoomed in on my monitor, so her eye is about 4 inches across. But it shows off exactly what you want to see in terms of how they break down the colors. And then you just try and color match the best you can. But when you look at that, one thing a lot of people miss when they're doing anime style eyes is you don't want to start with white. Oh, I already put the gray out. Duh. You can use white, but it's actually not your primary color. The upper quarter to third of the eye is generally a gray color to denote the shadow of the eyelid. And I know I'm showing you on a very large scale subject. Smaller scales, it's actually a little bit simpler. But if you got the right kind of brushes and the eyeball itself is big enough, you can get away with it. Now I usually lay in the gray a little larger than I need. So, looks weird, but that's about what you want for a start. Okay, I need a fresh paper towel. Yeah, let me lower the camera back down too. There's gonna be some jittering and weirdness, guys. Yeah, we haven't had an appearance from our little jumping spider friend lately. I'm sure they're around. I can see his little nests up here. Then just a drop of white. Now I don't have to use straight up yellow on this, but in this size it'll help add that little sparkle to the eye. But we'll get there when we get there. Right now we're just laying in the basic eyeball. And this brush is not good for that. It's too splayed out now that I'm getting into the more controlled aspect. Back up. And this is even a good general practice for when you're doing regular eyes as well. If I'm doing a more human character, not a cartoon character, I actually mix a little bit of flesh in with the eye color Because if you look at someone's eyes, like, get up close and look, the whites of their eyes aren't actually white. Okay. So I'm actually going to use the dark brown. I know, it's our favorite brand come back to haunt us. Actually, which way is she supposed to be looking? One moment. She's supposed to be looking off to her right. So we're not trying to get, like, perfect irises yet. And we're not looking to get perfect pupils yet. What I'm doing is I'm balancing out the structure of the eyeball, making sure they're both roughly the same size, and looking in the same general direction. The pupil does a lot to help you figure out the spirit of the character, because that can also make it look wall-eyed if you're not careful. And if you ever question, like, if you got it good enough or not, hold it up to a mirror. Look at it backwards. Because anything wrong will pop out even more backwards for some weird reason. Go a hair bit more this way with this one. So now that we got that laid in, you bring out your middle tone. And you're actually going to wind up painting over most of that. But don't worry. You'll see why. Because if you go back and look at that picture I took, what do you see around most of the edge of that? So I don't know why lately there's a trend amongst the figure painting community, especially anime figures, about using enamels and all these other things, and there's a very odd way of painting eyes that it kind of works for me, but it also feels a little more painstaking than it needs to be. I've painted a few good pairs of eyes. Not all of them turn out exactly how I want, but most of them are okay. And if you paint over the pupil, that's okay. But you can already see how the face is coming to life a little bit, just with that side eye. Get the burnt umber out. That stuff's thick. Squirt it out a bit more than I need. I'm just trying to get a good consistency. You want to do at least the top third to half of the iris that way. Try to match it up with the shadow line you created. You can go down a little further since the iris is slightly recessed in the eye. Now, I want a little more color in these eyes. And we'll see how the yellow works. She's already got a lot of red hair. She's got the red scarf. And by this point, the character was corrupted in the story. So her eyes were actually glowing red. But that's a bit too much red for me. Come up from underneath, do some U shapes if you can. You might have to do a couple layers here, maybe even get a slightly brighter yellow. I'm just going to do a couple layers. Maybe bring a few little stray strands of yellow up into the umber. And for a lot of this, you don't want to use paints that dry particularly fast. Because you kind of want to have some wiggle room. And don't worry about the paint being smooth either. If it's a little rough, that's okay. You're going to be giving it 3 or 4 coats of clear gloss when you're done, on top of the shine dots that you put in. So seeing as how we painted over a lot of the iris earlier. Or not the iris, the pupil. Just go back, get yourself some thinned out umber. Get the water off the ferrule. And just practice the thinning on it. See how thin I'm getting that on my nail? That means I got that just about right. There. Just bring that back down the center a little bit. Now, if that's not enough depth for you, in terms of the color depth, you can use black. In fact, I might actually do that. Just trying to notice something about the eyes here. Okay, I see it now. That's it for the music on that one. So I'm going to start up some music. I want to let this dry for a second, so I'm going to take my stretch break. Just give me 1 second to get the next one going. So I'll be back in about 5 minutes or so. Alrighty, I'm back. And this is also my quick and dirty for eyes. It's not the end-all be-all perfecto. So I want to see about putting this out a bit further toward the outside. Because you want that line there to be almost invisible, like pencil thin. There we go. And the key is when you're... Yeah. Wow! Would you like fries with that? No. The key is when you're viewing it from a distance, it looks okay. Up close, it looks like complete ass. But when you're viewing it at regular distance... Now we're going to try a 50-50 white and yellow. Put that in for some color highlights. And I'm basically bringing this up next to the pupil to kind of like highlight the edge of the pupil. And that's why I say don't always use black, because you can let the colors and the contrast between them do that work for you, where when you look at it you think, oh, that's a black pupil, when it's actually not. Once you get that, as in typical anime fashion, get some straight white, put a dot right up here, and then another one down over here, crossing that line. And that's what they call the eye shine. And it looks janky as hell without hair and without eyebrows or eyelashes. So we're going to work on those next. But we're going for some dark brown eyelashes because the character apparently has those. I might throw a red highlight on them just to give it a little something. Thought I felt my phone vibrate like the wife was messaging me. Looks like I need to give this brush a haircut. Actually, I probably need new brushes, the amount of painting I do. Yeah, I need a better brush. That's not flowing. But eyes aren't that hard, you just need to keep doing them and keep practicing them until you feel comfortable with how you do them. And what else was there? Like some characters, like this is actually pretty simple, right? Really just 3 basic colors. Variations of them. Let me see if I can find the character. And I replicated this on the 1/4 scale version of her that I did. Let me see real quick. Why does this sound like Herbie Hancock knockoff? Images. Trying to find a large scale picture of this character so I can show you what I'm talking about. Her eyes have 5 colors in them. Damn it. When done right, they have like 5 colors in them. Yeah, that's fan art. Damn it. Hell, if you go in the shorts and just look up Shiro, you can see what I'm talking about, because I think I zoomed in on her eyes too. Not just her ass. Yeah, look up Shiro from Tower of Fantasy. Okay, what was I gonna do? A little bit of white. Let's go a little darker. Now here's the scary part, going back in and outlining the eye you've just done. not getting too close to it. Because a lot of characters have these molded in eyelashes. So I'm starting with a lighter brown. Do what now? Sorry. And once you start bringing the lashes into play as well, it really wakes up. Because just like with makeup, it also gives the eye more of a definite outline. Switch to a thinner brush. Where did it go? You notice how I'm bracing my hands. It's another thing a lot of less experienced modelers, when they're trying to paint fine detail, don't do. Brace your hands. If you shake, even if you don't shake, you're gonna shake. Brace your hands. Brace the subject, and then brace your hands. Don't try and do it all in one go. And my fan just fell over. That's okay. I'm not airbrushing right now. But yeah, that's a lot more like it. And that ties in with the shadow line on the eyeball too. Regular flat black, not gloss black. This is not for the eye itself, but I'm going to be putting some fake eyelashes in that dark brown that I just put on. It's okay if you go from the lash line onto the face. That's what actually makes it work. It's stylized anime art anyway. We're not looking to do anything perfect. The same thing on here. That's how I do ice. I might go... Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Let's get the base skin tone back out. Let's get the lips out of the way, too. Never just go with straight red. Red and flesh mixed to different intensities. We're gonna use a dark vermilion for the base on this. We're not going for New York hooker lipstick here. So, a little bit of red, a lot of bit of the flesh tone. A little more red. About right for a start. And yeah, we're probably going to throw this brush away because it's just pissing me off. Okay. Try this one. And I always start at the inner line of the lip and work my way outward so I don't go too far out. Because most people, when they do a good sculpt, have a good outer edge that you can kind of use the side of the brush to meet up to. And you can see how that just brought a little bit of definition right there. Same thing with the lower lip. Go back to the upper real quick, add a little more red. And a dot of black. That dot was too much, so we bring in a little of the base color again. And a little more red. Because we just kind of want to make a shadow tone of that. Black isn't always the best color to use, but I went with it. We'll see what happens. Actually, we're going to go for a smaller brush, because you don't want to do the whole upper lip. But again, you want to start right in that middle area. Almost to the edge. Leave a bit of that edge showing. Leave a little less of that edge showing. And believe it or not, if you're doing a more realistic figure, being a bit more subdued actually helps. Mix up a lighter version of that again. Flesh, red, now let's see if the dot of white is as strong as the dot of black. It wasn't, because red's a very powerful color. Hey Aries. Hopefully that's a little bit lighter than what we put down. And just right on the peak of the lower lip, give it a bit of a highlight. Let's go back to the red real quick. And get a little bit of that umber brown color. Ah! Face! But thanks everybody who's hanging out and watching. I know it's an odd day and an odd time for me to stream. Like I said, we're going to bring a little bit of red into the eyebrows. But that's about it for the face, because a lot of it's going to be hidden under here. But once it's framed with the hair, it really does begin to shine. But I think that's a good stopping point. Like I said, I want to let the figure dry. When I get home from work tomorrow, I will work on getting the masking putty on it, and we'll probably stream painting up her uniform and stuff. But I really like how that face turned out. That was pretty quick and dirty too. But thanks again for everybody who's watching, and I will see you all hopefully tomorrow. If not then Saturday. So take it easy.